So, our topic is domestic violence. As you know, women are most commonly victims of domestic violence more than males. I know in recent news, they've shown the males, just to put some light that, males are also affected by it too. But, let's discuss the woman today. We're on the couch of Girl Talk, so let's discuss the woman as they are more commonly affected by it.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen.
4 new cartoon shows coming soon to KVTV.
Marlon, why are you so small? All up doubles doesn't give you strength, Marlon.
He even told me about my cat.
I ain't know anything about your cat. Hi, good evening. You're live on Crime Tape. We're gonna mash them up.
From past, I wouldn't say experiences, because I don't think we have been fortunate not to have to deal with that.
Thankfully.
Thankfully. But I'm sure you probably would have friends who probably went through things like that. So just seeing things on the news, like what are some of the causes you think will, bring about domestic violence in relationships?
Well, I think insecurity would bring about that. Those are one of the things, being in an insecure relationship. Lack of stability in some instances. There may be too much of alcohol consumption. Alcohol does affect abuse. Well, it leads to domestic violence, if you're intoxicated and stuff. I remember in some instances whereby if the husband comes home and he's drinking and stuff like that, he takes it out as abuse. He abuses the wife because of him being on a high, different things like that.
But then sometimes that would have like a reasoning before that, because sometimes the reason that he might be drinking in the first place is to deal with issues, and alcohol does alleviate that.
Well, one of the issues could be maybe he's not working, or things are financially tight, stuff like that. There are a lot of things that lead to domestic abuse, violence rather.
And you rightfully said, abuse of alcohol, could be drug abuse. And this can make the man think that, it's acceptable. It's acceptable to beat my wife, and we don't know what he went through as a child. Maybe, it passed down from generation to generation. His father was doing it, so it is acceptable to him. He's not doing anything wrong. She deserves it. And, after a while, she may believe that, it's something I did. It's okay.
It's okay for her to be treated like that, because she doesn't know better.
Well, then what is some of the advice that you would give females who might be in same situation or seeing signs of that probably happening soon? Because I personally believe, like, if a guy hit you once, he will hit you again. It have no I'm sorry and move on past that. But some females might be in a situation where they won't put a foot down. Like, okay, you're in a relationship and you might see he have a temper, or you might see how he might react in certain situations, and you don't take that as signs. You wait until it get physical. And then when it get physical, you might be vexed in the moment when it happen, but when you calm down, you forgive and you move on until that next instant.
Right. So what the points that you just said, there's a lead up to the actual abuse. There's signs, lack of communication, tension, you're not talking, everything upsetting, then is the lash out, the big fight. And then there's a period where, nothing goes on, and he apologizes, not because he's sorry, because he just wants peace. He wants things to go to go back to normal. So he apologizes, and then there's calm, everything's back to normal. So it's a cycle, so if he does it once, it's going to happen again in the future.
I personally think that it's not something that it have a second chance to see if he learned his lesson. Like if a guy could disrespect you, no matter what is the reason, like a man hitting you is just not right. You know, and it both ways, because it have females who hit first and they, you know, they be like, well, the fella not supposed to hit back. So it's a both side thing, but as we said, we're taking it from the female perspective because it is girl talk. But a guy hitting you is not right. So I'm sorry, the flowers, the makeup gifts, the whatever, that don't make up for that happening, because it's going to happen again. It might take 2 months, 2 years, 5 years down the road, but if he had that tendency once and he in himself couldn't control it, you know, anything could trigger that again. That is what I think.
I think definitely it's unacceptable for a man to hit a woman, and it should not be encouraged. I mean, a lot of these women accept those things and they're afraid, you know, they're afraid to go and report it and different things like that. Despite there being a lack of facilities and stuff like that to deal with these things, you know, there must be someone you could probably reach out to, like a counselor, your mom, you know, somebody to talk about it with and try and get it sorted out. I mean, it might be a frightening experience because a lot of women are battered, you know, their face and eyes and all these other things, you know, literally blue black rather. And, you know, but there must be a way out. I mean, yeah, it might take some time, but don't sit there and accept it and say, okay, well, it's okay for him to treat me like that, you know?
Yeah, and my advice would give is definitely don't isolate yourself. You know, be out there, do things for yourself. Don't let it reach the fact that, you know, he's controlling the money, because if you're in a situation like that, domestic violence, the abuse is not only physical, it's also emotional. You know, it has that, you know, the abuser will want to be playing mind games with you to try to keep you down. And it might not only be that, it might be with your finances as well. He has the control. You can't go out shopping, you can't buy this. And even when you do recognize this and I need to get out, you can't get out because you can't support yourself. Yeah, so...
Yeah. And I think that in some cases that is actual reason why women stay, because they see, like, when you reach a point where you're comfortable with how the operations of certain things might be, in terms of like, okay, you already have the house and it might be in his name, or the kids done comfortable, they go into school, and you know, those kind of things. And to think of uprooting all of that and moving out because, okay, well, he hit him, man, because you put that on the back burner, like it's not such of a big deal in comparison to everything else. But you need to put yourself as the main priority, and your well-being is going to benefit everybody else. If you're not happy, the situation itself cannot be a stable one.
I know in some cases where women have children, I mean, they tend to stay in an abusive relationship because of the children, you know, wanting to grow them up in I wouldn't say a stable home, because clearly it's not stable, but at least, you know, keep the family together and try and make things work, especially in, well, I shouldn't say that, but, you know, especially in certain ethnicities. They kind of stay together regardless of the abuse, alcohol abuse and different things like that. They stay grounded to maintain their family, you know, because families are supposed to stick together.
And to bring back a point that Diane had mentioned earlier, like in terms of like you know, you don't know what it might be the reason why the person is being abusive. He might have been brought up in a situation like that, so he's doing what he knows. You might be staying in a relationship for your kids, and your kids witnessing that and growing up, they might turn out to be abusers.
Of course,
themselves.
they're going to do the same thing.
You know, because that is what you're teaching them. Whether you're not coming out directly and saying, well, you have to do this. People learn by habit and less by environment. And if your kids are seeing that, you know, their mom being beaten, then especially like boy children, they're gonna grow up and think that, well, that is how I'm supposed to run a household. And females are gonna grow up, and if they're in a relationship and a guy hit them, they say, well, my mom, you know, went through this. It takes a certain amount of mental power for you to grow up in a situation so dominant and step out of that. You know, you tend to react to the environment, and you tend to become, like, you know, habitual and to repeat the same thing because of what you know as your comfort zone.
Diane?
You know, just recently I was reading something on social media, and it was a story where this woman, she was living away. I'm not going to say the country where she was, but she was originally from Trinidad. So she left with the kids and she came to Trinidad. And the ex-husband or the husband, he was saying how he wants back his kids. Now, I like to read the comments that people post to situations, and the comments were really varied. A lot of locals were taking the side of the foreigner. You know, you never know. These are strangers. To anybody reading it, is a stranger. You don't know the real reason why a woman will leave her husband. She wouldn't leave something good. You know, no sensible woman would leave something good and leave with the children, you know. So what I would say to even victims, don't listen to other people's opinion. You're in this situation, you have to do what's best for you, and you know what's best for your kids before anybody else, before your parents, before friends or strangers' comments, because people always have things to say, but they don't know you. So you need to do what you know you have to do. Yeah, which is just leave. Yeah. Figure out the other things after. Just get out, because you need to love yourself first. Because it's not love if he's doing that.
Well, actually, as you mentioned, that it has some females that actually think if a guy is hitting them is because, you know, like, I don't want to phrase it in sense of like they think that is love, but it's like, as I say, because that is what they know, they're comfortable with it. So like it have girls that would be comfortable in that situation. We might be taking it from the perspective where it's something wrong and you shouldn't do it, but have girls that, well, if you're not hitting me, he don't love me, because that is what they know. And there is something internally that I think that you need to do some self-reflection and figure out like why I'm okay with this. Because people, some girls like drama. I know a few of them that they like that drama. If the relationship is not a quarrel every now and then, and you know, they don't feel comfortable because that is what they know.
Are you kidding me?
I'm telling you, you need to be all rounded when you're having this discussion, and have people have that perspective that is what they know. They like the quarreling, and they like the bacchanal, and they like stuff like that. So they will do stuff to get that reaction. Because to them it's like, okay, he paying attention, you know what I mean? And it's like it's bad. But at the same time, there's reality out there. Ashman face like, seriously.
OMG. That's what I would say. OMG.
Yeah, it really, really sad. But as Diane said, you would know what's best for you. And you need to look in the long run, because like sometimes you're in a situation presently and it's like, if you don't make a stand now, it is only going to get worse and it is only going to continue. So think long term and do what you need to do now so that your future would not be affected by what you're going through presently.
Diane, you mentioned that they shouldn't think about what other people, shouldn't take advice from other people, basically, and that's what you meant, right? But what about if the individual doesn't want to leave and she's being advised to leave the relationship? There are many instances where that do occur.
Like she want to stay in the abuse?
She wants to stay in the abuse, but she's being advised, to... And part of the reason why she would want to stay is because she's afraid. She may not be employed. She may not have a place to go. You know what I mean? Things like that. So is it correct to say that she should listen to her gut and not stay? Stay rather. Because, some of them would want to stay. They lost as to where's the next step, where they get to the next meal, the next roof over their head, things like that. In cases
like that, to me, everything, it starts and ends with you. So as much as you might be the friend on the outside trying to help that person, if they reach that point of, I had enough, you could give advice from now until like kingdom come. They reach that point of having enough. It's only when they reach that point of having enough and willing to step out and do something, that's the only time they're going to do. Because people would look at this and it have the ones might be motivated by to actually change the situation, and have the ones that that's adding to the situation, but it's not the point of I've had enough and I'm going to make a change.
Yeah, and then there are different reasons why the victims will say. Some would say because of what other people might say, and they don't want to hear that. Then some might say because they have so very low self-esteem because of the mental abuse. Yeah. We talked about, some saying for their kids, and the list is long.
Yeah.
It's long.
On and on.
Yeah, I think there's a hotline that we could probably leave in the description. And there's help out there, so I would just say, just get out. If you so need, a companion, what I always tell to everyone, there are plenty fish in the sea. There's someone out there for you who will treat you the way that you're supposed to be treated. Because if you love somebody, imagine somebody, you so love your person, and look how some people treat things, you know, things that they like. They love it so much, like a t-shirt, gentle wash. You can't hang it up on the line. You can't put it in the dryer. You have to lay it flat to dry. And if you're treating a thing like that, you know, so gentle, and as a human being, you're roughing it up, you know, it's not love. It can never be love. So get out.
There are a few shelters and different things like that. I would definitely pass it on, maybe via the description, as you say, as to those who seeking help, you know, as to which one of the shelters they could contact and different things. These are actually done on a down low, but there are in fact people out there who can assist those of you who are affected by domestic violence.
Well, just to close, I would personally say that anybody that's going through any form of abuse, whether it's been a very long period and you reach a point where you just don't know what to do, you need to find back yourself and realize that when you came into this world, this wasn't what you signed up for. So no matter what the situation is, come back to that person that you was aspiring to be in the first place, and it's time to step out of that and find back yourself and follow your path, because there's no sense settling for somebody, you know, who not going to be uplifting you and appreciating you and cherishing you. So if you're in a relationship and you know that at the end of the day, that person not helping in that capacity and they're more tearing you down than bringing you up, it's time to leave.
It would also be a good thing for the woman in the relationship to actually try and become independent, so that they can move forward without any having to depend on anyone, and you know, make a better life, create a better life for themselves.
Yeah. So that was our take on domestic violence. We hope our insight helps. And Nisi
And Diane.
Ashman, thank
We'll
you
be
for
signing
joining
on.
us.
Bye.
It's your girl Ashman.
Nisi.
And Diane.
We thank you for watching our show. Remember, if you want us to shed some light on any topics you may so desire, be sure to put it on the comments, and who knows, it may be our next Girl Talk show.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.